Billionaire mom sees black flight attendant feeding her blind daughter and changes her life forever. The champagne glass shatters against Italian marble as Margox Wellington's manicured hand trembles with rage. "She touched my daughter without permission." Her voice, cultured, commanding, silences the Manhattan penthouse as staff freeze in their tracks. Opposite her, flight attendant Imani Johnson stands unflinching, a termination letter crumpled in her dark fingers, her airline uniform still pristine despite the 17-hour flight that ended just 2 hours ago. Between them sits 9-year-old Lily Wellington, sunglasses masking sightless eyes, her small hand reaching desperately through empty space. "Mommy, please stop. Imani was only helping me eat when you were sleeping. Why are you making her leave us?" But to understand how these three lives became so hopelessly entangled, and why one of America's wealthiest women has summoned an economy-class flight attendant to her home only to fire her, we must go back 24 hours, to a fateful first-class cabin high above the Atlantic Ocean, where an act of simple kindness was about to trigger a chain of events that would change all their lives forever. If you're enjoying this story already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss our new videos. Now let's continue with this extraordinary tale of misunderstanding, prejudice, and the unexpected connections that can bridge the most distant of worlds. 17 hours earlier, JFK International Airport buzzes with pre-holiday chaos. Imani Johnson tightens her navy blue neckerchief and smooths the already perfect line of her uniform skirt, the uniform she's worn with pride for 16 years, navigating the skies while raising her son on her own. Today's flight to Geneva carries extra weight. One more international haul means one more substantial paycheck toward Marcus's college fund. Her son, brilliant, focused, just like his late father, has received his MIT acceptance letter, but the scholarships only cover a fraction of the cost. "Looking good, Johnson," Captain Rivera says, passing her with his flight case. "Ready for the Wellington charter?" Imani feels her stomach tight. The Wellingtons, as in Margox Wellington, the tech heiress. One and only, booked half of first class. Just her, the daughter, and some assistant. Board meeting in Geneva or something. You've got first-class service today. Imani nods, professional as always, but her mind races. Everyone in the airline industry knows about Margox Wellington. Granddaughter of the founder of Wellington Technologies, now CEO of the billion-dollar corporation after her father's retirement. Widowed 3 years ago when her husband's private plane crashed in the Alps. Notorious for her exacting standards and for having flight attendants fired for the smallest infractions. At gate 27, Imani spots them immediately. Margox Wellington stands apart from the other passengers, not just because of her Chanel suit or the discreet security detail hovering nearby, but because of the invisible force field of privilege that seems to surround her. Tall, blonde, and razor-thin at 52, she speaks rapidly into a cell phone, gesturing with elegant hands adorned only with a massive diamond solitaire. Beside her stands a young girl, perhaps 8 or 9, with honey-colored hair falling in careful waves around a heart-shaped face. Unlike her mother's sharply tailored outfit, the child wears a simple blue dress, her small hand clutching the arm of a tired-looking woman in her 60s who must be the assistant. But something catches Imani's attention. The child's other hand holds a white cane, and her eyes are covered by round, child-sized sunglasses despite the airport's fluorescent lighting. Boarding begins, and Imani takes her position, greeting first-class passengers with the practiced smile that has become second nature. When the Wellingtons approach, Margox barely acknowledges her, striding past as if Imani were merely part of the aircraft's fixtures. The assistant guides the little girl, murmuring instructions. "Welcome aboard," Imani says warmly to the child. "Is there anything special you need for our flight today?" Before the girl can answer, Margox Wellington turns. "We've made all necessary arrangements with the airline. Lily doesn't need anything beyond what's already been communicated." Her tone is clipped final. The assistant, who introduces herself as Mrs. Abernathy, leads Lily to her seat, arranging her belongings with practiced efficiency. Imani notices how the woman's hands shake slightly with what might be exhaustion or age, perhaps both. As the final passengers board, Imani overhears fragments of conversation from the Wellington party. Margox speaks rapidly about board presentations and quarterly projections, while Mrs. Abernathy occasionally interjects with questions about Lily's schedule in Geneva. The child herself sits quietly, small fingers exploring the contours of her seat, the edge of her tray table, familiarizing herself with her surroundings. The plane taxis and lifts into the evening sky. Imani moves through the first-class cabin with practiced grace, serving drinks, distributing hot towels, taking dinner orders. When she reaches the Wellingtons, Margox is already immersed in spreadsheets on her laptop. Ms. Wellington, would you or your daughter care for a beverage before dinner? Sparkling water for me, nothing for Lily. She doesn't look up from her screen. Actually, comes a small voice, may I have apple juice, please? Imani smiles at the girl. Of course you may. Lily, Margox says, finally glancing up, you know Dr. Rosenberg said to limit sugar before bedtime. It disrupts your sleep patterns. But Mom, it's just... Mrs. Abernathy, please make sure Lily has water with dinner. Margox cuts her off, then turns to Imani with a dismissive nod that clearly ends the conversation. As Imani moves to the galley to prepare the drinks, she catches Mrs. Abernathy's apologetic glance. There's something in the older woman's expression, fatigue, yes, but also resignation, as if this dynamic plays out repeatedly in their lives. When dinner service begins, Imani notices how Mrs. Abernathy meticulously cuts Lily's food into careful pieces, explaining the position of each item on the plate using the clock method. Chicken at 6 o'clock, vegetables at 3, potatoes at 9. It's clear the assistant has been trained to assist the visually impaired child. 2 hours into the flight, the cabin lights dim for the overnight Atlantic crossing. Most passengers settle into sleep, including Margox Wellington, who dons a silk eye mask after instructing Mrs. Abernathy about wake-up times and medication schedules for Lily. The assistant nods, though Imani notices the woman's eyelids drooping heavily. Near midnight, as Imani makes a quiet pass through the darkened cabin, she notices movement in the Wellington row. Lily sits awake, headphones on, while beside her Mrs. Abernathy has finally succumbed to sleep, her head tilted at an uncomfortable angle. As Imani approaches, she sees Lily fumbling with her dinner tray, which still sits half-eaten before her. Would you like me to take that for you? Imani whispers. Lily startles slightly, then removes her headphones. Yes, please, I wasn't very hungry earlier. Are you hungry now? I could bring you something light. The girl hesitates. I am a little hungry, but I don't want to wake Mrs. Abernathy. She's so tired. Mom had her packing all night for our trip. Something in the child's considerate response touches Imani. I can help you. What would you like? Maybe some fruit and maybe that apple juice I couldn't have before. There's a hint of mischief in her voice that makes Imani smile. Coming right up. When Imani returns with a small fruit plate and the contraband apple juice, she finds Lily has pushed her tray table into position. Quietly, Imani places the items down. Thank you, Lily hesitates. Could you maybe tell me where everything is? Mrs. Abernathy usually does the clock thing. Of course, Imani says, sitting in the temporarily empty seat across the aisle. Apple juice at 2 o'clock, grapes at 6 o'clock, apple slices at 9, and a few strawberries at 12. Lily nods, but as she reaches for the juice, her hand misses, nearly knocking it over. Imani gently steadies her hand, guiding it to the cup. The girl takes a sip, then smiles. What's your name? She asks. Imani Johnson. I'm Lily Wellington, I'm 9 1/4. Very pleased to meet you, Lily Wellington, who is 9 1/4. Are you excited about going to Geneva? Lily shrugs. Not really, it's just another board meeting. Mom always brings me because she says I need to learn the business from the ground up, even though I can't see. I'd rather be at home with my books. I read Braille, she adds proudly. That's impressive. What do you like to read? Everything, but especially mysteries. I'm reading The Hardy Boys right now. Mrs. Abernathy reads me one chapter every night, but she does the voices all wrong. Lily giggles, then sobers. Don't tell my mom about the apple juice, okay? She has a lot of rules about my diet because of my condition. Your secret is safe with me, Imani promises, helping Lily find a grape. May I ask about your condition? Only if you want to tell me, of course. I have Leber congenital amaurosis. I was born with it. I can see some light and shadows sometimes, but mostly everything's just dark. She says this matter-of-factly, with the directness of children who haven't yet learned to be self-conscious about their differences. Mom says there might be gene therapy someday that could help, but for now it's just me and my cane and Mrs. Abernathy. As Lily eats, she chatters quietly about her life, her Braille teacher whom she adores, the guide dog she hopes to get when she turns 10, the cooking classes specially designed for visually impaired children that her mother reluctantly allowed her to take. Mom doesn't really like me doing things by myself, Lily confides. She says the world isn't designed for people like me and that I need to be careful, but my therapist, Dr. Chen, says I should have age-appropriate independence. Imani listens, struck by the child's vocabulary and self-awareness. When Lily has finished her snack, Imani helps her clean her hands with a napkin. Thank you for helping me, Ms. Johnson. You can call me Imani. Imani, Lily repeats, feeling the name in her mouth. That's pretty. What does it mean? It means faith in Swahili. My father chose it. Do you have any children, Imani? I have a son named Marcus. He's 18, just got accepted to college. Wow, Lily says, impressed. That's grown up. Is he smart? Imani smiles. Very smart and kind, which is even more important. My mom says being smart is what matters most in business, that and being tough. Lily yawns suddenly. I should probably sleep now. Mom gets upset if I'm tired during meetings. Imani helps Lily recline her seat and finds her blanket. As she's about to return to her duties, Lily reaches out, her hand finding Imani's with surprising accuracy. Will you be here when I wake up? She asks. I'll be working in this cabin all flight, Imani assures her. Lily nods, satisfied, and settles back. Within minutes, her breathing deepens into sleep. As Imani resumes her rounds, she glances back at the sleeping child, feeling an unexpected connection. In her 16 years of flying, she served countless passengers, but something about Lily's self-possessed maturity combined with her obvious loneliness strikes a chord. The girl reminds her of Marcus at that age, serious, thoughtful, carrying responsibilities beyond his years. The overnight hours pass quietly. Most passengers sleep through the darkness as the aircraft cuts through the Atlantic night. Imani catches a short break, scrolling through pictures of Marcus on her phone, his graduation photos, his acceptance letter. Pride wells within her, along with anxiety about the remaining tuition balance. Even with her extra shifts and the small life insurance payout from her husband's death, the numbers don't quite add up. At 3 a.m., a light chime from the Wellington Row draws Imani's attention. She finds Lily awake, her hand on the call button. I'm sorry to bother you, the girl whispers when Imani approaches. But I think Mrs. Abernathy is having a bad dream. She's making strange sounds. Indeed, the elderly assistant is breathing heavily, making occasional grunting noises, her face contorted. Mrs. Abernathy? Imani touches her shoulder gently. The woman doesn't respond, but her breathing sounds increasingly labored. Imani presses her fingers to the woman's wrist, feeling for a pulse. It's rapid and irregular. Lily, I think Mrs. Abernathy might not be feeling well. I'm going to get her some help, okay? Is she sick? Lily's voice rises with concern. I'm not sure yet, sweetie. Let me check. Imani presses the intercom for another flight attendant requesting the emergency medical kit. She glances at Margox Wellington, still sleeping soundly with her silk mask in place, unaware of the unfolding situation. When the kit arrives, Imani takes Mrs. Abernathy's blood pressure, alarmingly high. The woman remains unresponsive but breathing. Following protocol, Imani pages for any medical personnel on board. A doctor from business class arrives quickly, still bleary with sleep. After a brief examination, he looks up gravely. Possible stroke. We need to divert. Everything happens quickly after that. The captain makes arrangements for an emergency landing in St. John's, Newfoundland. The cabin crew prepares for arrival procedures. Through it all, Lily sits wide-eyed and anxious, asking questions that Imani answers as honestly as possible without causing undue fear. Will Mrs. Abernathy be okay? Should I wake up my mom now? The doctors will take good care of Mrs. Abernathy when we land. And yes, I think we should wake your mother now. Imani gently rouses Margox Wellington, who comes to consciousness disoriented and irritated until the situation becomes clear. Her annoyance quickly transforms into calculated efficiency. St. John's, how long will this delay us? I have a board presentation in 16 hours. Even as she asks this, she's already on her phone, texting rapidly. Ms. Wellington, Imani explains patiently, medical emergencies require us to land at the nearest suitable airport. Mrs. Abernathy needs immediate medical attention. Margox looks at her assistant as if seeing her for the first time. Yes, of course. I'll make arrangements for her care in, wherever this place is. And I'll need to reorganize our travel to Geneva. Her focus remains on logistics rather than the human emergency unfolding beside her. Lily reaches across the empty seat between them. Mom, is Mrs. Abernathy going to die? For the first time, something like real emotion flickers across Margox's face. No, darling, she's going to get the help she needs. She takes her daughter's hand briefly, then returns to her phone. I need to make calls. Can you handle things for a few minutes, Lily? The plane begins its descent towards St. John's. The cabin lights brightened, passengers murmuring in confusion. Mrs. Abernathy is stabilized as best as possible for landing. Through it all, Imani notices Lily becoming increasingly withdrawn, her small hands gripping her armrests tightly. Imani kneels beside her. We'll be landing soon, Lily. The plane might feel different during this landing because we're going to a different airport than planned. It might be a bit bumpy, but that's normal. I don't like emergency landings, Lily whispers. The pilot crashed in an emergency landing. That's how my dad died. The words hit Imani like a physical blow. Of course, Margox Wellington's husband had died in a plane crash 3 years ago. The news had been everywhere, another tragedy in the Wellington family saga, and Lily had been just 6 years old. I'm right here with you, Imani says, taking the girl's hand. This is a completely routine landing, just at a different airport. Would you like me to stay with you until we're on the ground? Lily nods, squeezing Imani's hand tightly. Margox ends her call and notices Imani sitting with her daughter. A flicker of something, irritation, surprise, crosses her face, but she merely says, I've arranged for medical transport from the airport and accommodations for tonight. We'll resume our journey tomorrow morning. The plane lands smoothly in St. John's. Emergency medical personnel board immediately to attend to Mrs. Abernathy, who remains unconscious but stable. As they prepare to transfer her to a stretcher, Lily reaches out, finding the older woman's hand. Please get better, Mrs. Abernathy, she whispers. I'll practice my braille every day until you come back. Margox efficiently handles the logistics, signing forms, arranging payment, coordinating with her assistant's family back in New York. She works her phone like a conductor with an orchestra, solving problems before they fully materialize. Yet Imani notices how she keeps physical distance from the actual medical situation, standing apart while directing the response. With Mrs. Abernathy evacuated to a local hospital and the remaining passengers deplaning for the unscheduled overnight stay, Imani prepares to say goodbye to Lily. The airline will arrange hotel accommodations for everyone and normal service relationships will end. I guess this is goodbye, Lily, she says, helping the girl gather her belongings. It was a pleasure meeting you. But how will Mom and I manage without Mrs. Abernathy? Lily asks, anxiety edging her voice. She helps me with everything. Before Imani can respond, Margox rejoins them, ending a call. That was the hospital. They're admitting her for tests, but the preliminary diagnosis is indeed a stroke. She looks at her daughter. Lily, I've arranged for us to stay at a hotel tonight. We'll fly to Geneva in the morning. But who will help me? Lily asks, echoing her earlier question to Imani. Margox pauses, clearly confronting this practical problem for the first time. I suppose I'll have to manage myself. It's just for one day. I've already called the Geneva office to send someone to meet us at the airport there. Ms. Wellington, Imani says carefully, I notice you're traveling with quite a lot of luggage and managing everything while also assisting Lily might be challenging. Margox gives her an appraising look. Are you offering assistance, Ms. Johnson, Imani Johnson? And yes, if it would be helpful, I could assist you and Lily during your layover here. I'm trained in customer service for passengers with special needs. It's not entirely true. She's had the standard airline training, but nothing specific to visual impairments. Still, the thought of Lily navigating an unfamiliar environment with only her clearly distracted mother for guidance concerns her. Margox considers this, her gaze calculating. That won't be necessary. The hotel will have staff. She turns away, then hesitates. Although, given the circumstances and the importance of tomorrow's meeting, she turns back. What exactly are you proposing, Ms. Johnson? I could help Lily with her immediate needs, meals, getting oriented to the hotel room, her evening routine, while you manage your business arrangements, just until your flight tomorrow. Something like relief flickers in Margox's eyes, though her expression remains impassive. That would be acceptable. I'll clear it with your supervisor and arrange compensation. With that, the unusual arrangement is made. Within an hour, Imani finds herself accompanying the Wellingtons to the Newfoundland Hotel, a surprisingly elegant establishment given the small city. Margox has somehow secured the presidential suite despite the last-minute booking, and their luggage follows promptly. In the suite, Margox immediately sets up an impromptu office, converting the dining table into a workstation with her laptops and tablets. Lily needs dinner by 6, her medications at 7, and she should be in bed by 8:30, she instructs Imani. Her routines are very specific. I've texted you a document with all the details. Imani's phone pings with the incoming information, a 12-page document detailing Lily's preferences, requirements, and restrictions. The level of detail is both impressive and somewhat dismaying. Every aspect of the child's life appears to be regulated, from water temperature for washing her face, warm, not hot, to the precise folding of her clothes, shirts folded twice lengthwise, once widthwise. I'll handle the Geneva arrangements and check on Mrs. Abernathy's condition, Margox continues. If you need anything, text rather than interrupt my calls. With that, she disappears into the suite's office area, closing the door firmly. Alone with Lily in the main living area, Imani takes a breath. Well, it looks like it's just you and me for dinner. Are you hungry? Lily tilts her head. Are you really going to follow all Mom's instructions? The list is crazy long. Mrs. Abernathy never does everything on it. Imani laughs despite herself. Let's focus on the important parts. Are you comfortable telling me what you need? Yes. Lily's face lights up with unexpected enthusiasm. Mrs. Abernathy always says I should advocate for myself. That means saying what I need, she adds, clearly repeating a oft-heard phrase. Excellent. So dinner, what would you like? Can we order room service? Mom always gets me the kids' menu stuff, but I like trying new things. Over the next 2 hours, Imani and Lily develop an easy rapport. They order dinner, Lily bravely selecting Atlantic salmon with local vegetables instead of her usual plain chicken, and Imani helps her navigate the unfamiliar hotel room, creating verbal maps of the space. Lily absorbs information quickly, needing directions only once before memorizing the layout. "You're very good at this," Imani observes, watching Lily confidently walk from the sitting area to the bathroom without her cane, having counted the steps. "I have an excellent spatial memory," Lily says proudly. "That's what my O&M teacher says, that's orientation and mobility," she clarifies. "Mom doesn't like me moving around without my cane, but Mr. Davis says I should practice in safe environments." As they eat dinner, Lily asks questions about Imani's life, what it's like to be a flight attendant, about Marcus and his college plans, about the places she's visited. Her curiosity is boundless and her questions surprisingly sophisticated for a 9-year-old. "What's MIT like? Mom says I should go to Harvard Business School like her and Grandpa, but I want to build things, not just sell them." "MIT is one of the best schools for people who want to build and invent things," Imani explains. "Marcus wants to study robotics and artificial intelligence." "That's what I want to do too," Lily exclaims. "I want to create adaptive technology for blind people. Did you know most assistive devices are designed by sighted people who don't really understand what we need?" Imani marvels at the child's passion and articulateness. "That's a wonderful goal. I bet you'd be excellent at it since you understand the needs firsthand." "That's what I tell Mom, but she says the Wellington legacy is business leadership, not product development." Lily sighs dramatically, suddenly very much a 9-year-old again. "She says I'll understand when I'm older." After dinner, Imani helps Lily with her evening routine, medications, washing up, changing into pajamas. Throughout, she's struck by how capable the child is when given the chance, and how much more she could likely do without the constant hovering presence of Mrs. Abernathy or her mother's restrictive rules. As Imani tucks Lily into bed, the girl asks for a story. "Mrs. Abernathy always reads to me before sleep." "We're in the middle of The Secret Garden, but I don't have the Braille version with me." "I don't have the book either, but I could tell you a story." "Yes, please." Lily settles eagerly against her pillows. Imani sits on the edge of the bed and tells Lily about growing up in Chicago, about her grandmother who taught her to cook soul food, about the community garden where neighbors grew vegetables together. She tells her about meeting Marcus's father in college, about their dreams of traveling the world together before his military service and untimely death in Afghanistan left her a young widow with a 4-year-old son. "Is that why you became a flight attendant? To travel like you and Marcus's dad planned?" Imani is struck by the insightfulness of the question. "Partly, and partly because it allowed me to support Marcus while still being home enough to raise him. The schedule was flexible and the benefits were good." "You're a good mom," Lily says softly. "You changed your whole life to take care of Marcus." The simple observation touches something deep in Imani. "Thank you, Lily, that means a lot." "I wish my mom was more like you," Lily continues, her voice dropping to a whisper. "She loves me, I know she does, but she's always so busy, and after Dad died, she got even busier. Sometimes I think she's afraid to be with me too much because I remind her of him." "I'm sure that's not true," Imani says gently, though she wonders if there might be some truth to the child's perception. "Dad was the fun one. He described everything to me, colors, clouds, people's faces. He made the world so I could see it through his words." Lily's voice catches. "Mom just tells me to be careful all the time." Imani takes Lily's small hand. "Sometimes when people love us very much, their fear of something happening to us comes out as overprotectiveness. That's what Dr. Chen says too, but it doesn't make it any easier to be treated like a baby." Lily's eyelids begin to droop, the long and eventful day finally catching up with her. "Will you still be here in the morning, Imani?" she asks, echoing her question from the plane. "Yes, I'll be here to help you get ready for your flight to Geneva." Satisfied, Lily finally surrenders to sleep. Imani sits with her a moment longer, struck by the girl's resilience and insight. In just a few hours, she's come to care for this precocious, brave child navigating a world designed for the sighted, while also navigating the complexities of being born into extraordinary wealth and expectations. When she's certain Lily is asleep, Imani quietly leaves the bedroom, closing the door partially so she can hear if the girl calls out. In the living area, she tidies up their dinner dishes and checks her phone. There's a text from Marcus, a photo of him and his girlfriend at a college orientation event. The sight of her son, so grown up, so ready for the future they've worked toward together, fills her with pride and a bittersweet awareness of how quickly time passes. She texts back, "Looking good, can't wait to hear all about it. Love you." As she puts her phone down, the office door opens and Margox Wellington emerges looking tired but composed. She glances toward Lily's room. Is she asleep? Yes, about 20 minutes ago. Margox nods, then gestures to the sitting area. Join me for a moment, Ms. Johnson. Imani sits across from her employer, acutely aware of the contrast between them. Margox still immaculately dressed despite the long day, her posture perfect, while Imani's airline uniform shows the wear of an extended shift never meant to include childcare duties. I've spoken with Mrs. Abernathy's doctors, Margox begins. Stable but will remain hospitalized for at least a week. They're recommending she not return to work for a minimum of 6 weeks, possibly longer. She says this matter-of-factly, but Imani detects a hint of genuine concern beneath the businesslike exterior. I'm sorry to hear that. She seemed like a dedicated caregiver. She's been with us for 7 years, since before Lily was born. For a moment, Margox's composed facade slips, revealing exhaustion and something like uncertainty. This puts me in a difficult position. The Geneva meetings cannot be postponed. They involve a potential acquisition worth billions, but Lily cannot navigate Geneva without assistance. Imani nods, beginning to see where this conversation is heading. Your assistance today has been adequate, Margox continues. Lily seems comfortable with you, which is unusual. She typically resists new caretakers. She's a remarkable child. Something flickers in Margox's eyes, pride, perhaps, or surprise at the simple compliment. Yes, she is. She straightens, business mode re-engaging. I'd like to propose an arrangement, Ms. Johnson. Would you consider accompanying us to Geneva for the duration of our trip, 5 days, to assist with Lily's care? I would, of course, provide generous compensation, separate accommodations, and ensure your airline approves the temporary reassignment. If you've been captivated by this unexpected turn of events, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this developing story as we continue to follow Margox, Imani, and Lily's journey. The request catches Imani off guard, though in retrospect, she should have seen it coming. 5 days in Geneva, likely well paid, helping a child she's already grown fond of. On the surface, it seems straightforward. Yet something about Margox Wellington's calculating gaze makes her hesitate. That's a significant request, Ms. Wellington. I'd need to consider several factors. Such as? Margox's tone suggests she's unaccustomed to anything but immediate agreement. My son is home from college orientation. I was scheduled to have 3 days off after this flight to spend with him before he begins summer classes. Imani meets the billionaire's gaze steadily. And I'd need to understand exactly what you're expecting in terms of my responsibilities for Lily. Margox looks momentarily taken aback, as if she hadn't considered that Imani might have her own life and priorities. I see. Well, regarding your son, I'm sure he would understand a professional opportunity. As for your duties, they would essentially be what Mrs. Abernathy normally handles, assisting Lily with her daily activities, accompanying her during my meetings, ensuring her schedule remains consistent. And what would that schedule involve in Geneva? Primarily, Lily will attend morning sessions of the board meetings. She needs to begin understanding the business, and then educational activities in the afternoons. Mrs. Abernathy typically arranges museum visits, language practice with a local tutor, and similar enrichment activities. Imani considers this. The responsibilities sound manageable, and the compensation would likely be substantial, perhaps enough to meaningfully impact Marcus's tuition situation. Still, she feels a need to establish clear boundaries. If I were to accept, I would need certain conditions met, she says carefully. Margox's eyebrows rise slightly. Such as? I'd need direct communication with you regarding Lily's care and decisions. I've noticed she's quite capable of many things when given the opportunity for age-appropriate independence, and I would want to foster that. Mrs. Abernathy follows my instructions precisely, Margox says, a note of warning in her voice. I understand, but I also believe in adapting to a child's developing capabilities. If I'm to be responsible for Lily's well-being, I would need some discretion in how best to support her. A tense silence follows. Margox studies Imani with new intensity, as if reassessing her. Finally, she gives a slight nod. Conditional latitude might be acceptable, provided Lily's safety remains the absolute priority. Of course. What else? I'd need to speak with my son before committing to the full 5 days. And I'd want my role clearly defined to Lily. I'm not replacing Mrs. Abernathy, just helping temporarily. Margox considers this, then reaches for her phone. I'll have my assistant draft an agreement tonight. The compensation will be $2,000 per day plus all expenses covered. Would that address your concerns about your son's situation? Imani blinks at the figure. $10,000 for 5 days' work, a substantial portion of what she needs for Marcus's tuition gap. That would be more than generous. Good, I'll expect your decision by morning. Margox rises, clearly considering the discussion concluded. The flight to Geneva departs at 10 a.m. I suggest you get some rest. After Margox returns to the office, Imani sits for a long moment, processing the unexpected turn her life has taken in the past 12 hours. What began as a routine international flight has somehow led to this moment. A job offer that could solve her financial concerns, but also requires her to step into a complex family dynamic. She calls Marcus, explaining the situation as concisely as possible. His response is immediate and supportive. Mom, that's amazing. Of course you should do it. That money would be huge for tuition. But we were supposed to have time together before your summer session starts. We'll still have 2 days when you get back, and anyway, I've got orientation stuff most of this week. Seriously, Mom, take the job. His maturity doesn't surprise her. Marcus has always understood their financial reality, but it does fill her with a familiar mix of pride and sadness that he's had to be so practical from such a young age. If you're sure, I'm sure. Plus, it sounds like this kid really needs someone like you right now. The insight strikes her. What do you mean? Well, from what you've told me, super rich, overprotective mom, disability that makes everyone treat her like she's helpless. She probably doesn't have many people who just see her as a regular kid with her own ideas. You were always good at that with me. Imani smiles, touched by her son's perception. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. She can hear the smile in his voice. Go to Geneva, Mom, help the billionaire kid and get that tuition money. Just bring me back some Swiss chocolate. After they hang up, Imani makes her decision. She'll accept Margox Wellington's offer. For the money, yes, but also for Lily, who deserves someone who sees her potential rather than just her limitations. The next morning unfolds with the precision of a military operation. Margox has already arranged everything. Imani's airline has approved her temporary leave. Her bag has been collected from the crew hotel, and a car waits to take them to the airport. The Wellington private jet, rerouted from New York overnight, stands ready on the tarmac. Lily is delighted to discover Imani will be accompanying them to Geneva. Really? You're coming with us? That's so much better than having some strange new person. Her excitement is palpable as they board the luxurious private aircraft, a world apart from the commercial airliner where they first met. The flight to Geneva passes smoothly. Lily sits beside Imani, chattering about Switzerland, practicing her rudimentary French phrases, and asking endless questions about what different parts of the plane sound like. Margox works continuously, emerging from behind her laptop only occasionally to check on Lily or take important calls. They land in Geneva in early evening local time, where a car and driver meet them on the tarmac. The efficiency of wealth continues to impress Imani. No immigration lines, no luggage carousels, just seamless movement from aircraft to luxury vehicle to the lakeside hotel suite that will be their home for the next 5 days. The Hotel d'Angleterre overlooks Lake Geneva, its old-world elegance a stark contrast to the utilitarian Newfoundland accommodations of the previous night. Imani is shown to her own room, connected to the Wellington suite by an adjoining door, close enough to assist with Lily but with privacy for herself. That first evening establishes the pattern for days to come. Margox works late into the night, preparing for the next day's meetings. Imani helps Lily settle into the new space, creating another mental map of the suite's layout, establishing routines in the unfamiliar environment. As they prepare for bed, Lily confides, I'm glad Mrs. Abernathy is getting the help she needs, but I'm really glad you're here instead. Oh, why's that? You talk to me like I'm a person, not just a job. The simple observation carries weight beyond the child's years. And you let me try things myself first instead of just doing everything for me. The following days fall into a rhythm. Mornings begin early, with Imani helping Lily dress and prepare for the day while Margox attends pre-meeting breakfasts with executives. They then travel to Wellington Technologies' European headquarters, where Lily sits quietly during board presentations, occasionally asking whispered questions that Imani answers as best she can. The child absorbs complex business concepts with surprising comprehension, clearly accustomed to this unusual education. Afternoons bring the promised educational excursions, the Museum of Natural History, where a guide provides tactile exhibits for Lily to explore, the botanical gardens, where scents and textures create a non-visual experience of beauty, music lessons with a renowned pianist who specializes in teaching visually impaired students. Throughout these activities, Imani observes Lily's increasing confidence. Away from her mother's hypervigilance, the girl blossoms, eager to try new experiences to navigate spaces with growing independence. Imani encourages this cautiously, always ensuring safety but allowing Lily to stretch her capabilities. Mrs. Abernathy never lets me order for myself, Lily says during lunch at a small cafe on their third day. She says it's too complicated. Would you like to try today? Imani asks. I can help you practice what to say first. Lily's successful interaction with the French-speaking waiter, halting but effective, brings a glow of pride to her face that lingers all afternoon. Each evening, Margox returns to the suite exhausted but satisfied with the progress of her business negotiations. She inquires about Lily's day, listening to her daughter's excited recounting of new experiences with what seems like genuine interest, though her attention invariably drifts back to work within minutes. On their fourth evening in Geneva, something shifts. Margox returns to the suite earlier than usual, her expression triumphant. It's done, she announces. The acquisition is approved. Wellington Technologies now owns Neurovision Systems. Congratulations, Imani offers, helping Lily set the table for their room service dinner. Does that mean we can go home early? Lily asks. I miss my books. Actually, Margox says, setting aside her briefcase, I thought we might celebrate tomorrow. Take the day off, do something together. Lily's face lights up. Really? No meetings, just fun stuff? Just fun stuff, Margox confirms with a smile that transforms her face, softening the sharp lines of constant calculation. She turns to Imani. Would you join us, Ms. Johnson? I've arranged a private boat tour of the lake. The captain is an expert on local history and wildlife. I thought it might be an educational experience for Lily. The invitation surprises Imani. Until now, Margox has treated her with professional courtesy but maintained a clear employer-employee distance. I'd be happy to join you, she says carefully, unless you'd prefer family time. Lily would enjoy having you there. Margox's gaze shifts to her daughter, who nods enthusiastically. And your perspective has been valuable this week. The next day dawns clear and perfect, the kind of crystalline Swiss morning that seems almost deliberately picturesque. The boat, a beautifully restored wooden craft with polished brass fittings, awaits them at a private dock. Captain Berthier, an elderly gentleman with a weathered face and kind eyes, greets them warmly, speaking to Lily directly rather than over her head. Ah, mademoiselle, I have prepared special treasures for you today, things to touch and smell that will tell you our lake's stories better than eyes ever could. As they cruise the tranquil waters, something remarkable happens. Margox Wellington, titan of industry, gradually relaxes. She removes her suit jacket, loosens her perpetually perfect chignon, even kicks off her designer shoes to feel the sun-warmed deck beneath her feet. More significantly, she engages with her daughter without the constant distraction of phones or tablets or impending meetings. When Captain Berthier produces a collection of items for Lily, smooth stones from the lake bed, dried herbs from the shore, a piece of driftwood carved by time and water, Margox sits beside her daughter, guiding her hands gently, describing colors and shapes with poetic precision. This stone is the blue-gray of early morning mist, she tells Lily, with flecks of silver that catch the light like stars reflected in water. Lily absorbs these descriptions hungrily. That's how Daddy used to talk. You never describe colors to me anymore. A shadow crosses Margox's face. I suppose I don't, she admits quietly. It became difficult after we lost him, because he was better at it, because it reminded me too much of him. The admission seems to surprise Margox herself, as if she's never articulated this truth before. Imani, sitting nearby, feels like an intruder on this intimate moment. She begins to rise to give them privacy, but Margox gestures for her to stay. Ms. Johnson, Imani has helped me see some things more clearly this week, Margox tells Lily. About how capable you are, how much more independence you could handle. Lily's face brightens. Really, like what? Like ordering in restaurants, navigating spaces more independently, making more of your own choices. Margox looks at Imani. She's been giving you more freedom than I typically allow, hasn't she? Lily nods vigorously. She lets me try first and only helps when I really need it. And has that been good? The best, I feel like I'm really doing things, not just having things done to me. Margox absorbs this, then turns to Imani. I owe you an apology, Ms. Johnson. I've been observing how you interact with Lily all week, and I realize I've been doing her a disservice with my overprotectiveness. You've been trying to keep her safe, Imani says gently. That's what parents do. Perhaps, but there's safety that nurtures and safety that suffocates. Margox looks out over the lake, her expression pensive. After James died, Lily's father, I became so afraid of losing her too. His plane crash was so sudden, so arbitrary. One moment he was there, the next gone. I think I've been trying to control everything in Lily's life to prevent any possibility of harm. Mom, Lily says, finding her mother's hand unerringly, I'm not going anywhere. The simple reassurance brings unexpected tears to Margox's eyes. She blinks them away quickly, but not before Imani notices. For the first time, she sees beyond the billionaire executive to the widow, the single mother trying to navigate loss while carrying the weight of a corporate empire and a special needs child. The remainder of the boat trip unfolds in a new atmosphere of openness. Margot shares stories of her own childhood, the pressure of being a Wellington heir, the boarding schools and expectations, her rebellion in college before ultimately accepting her corporate destiny. Lily absorbs these glimpses into her mother's history with evident fascination, asking questions that reveal how little she's known about Margot's early life. As they return to shore in late afternoon, Margot makes an unexpected announcement. "I've been thinking about Mrs. Abernathy's replacement. Clearly, we'll need someone while she recovers, possibly permanently given her age and health." Lily's face falls. "I don't want someone new." "What if it wasn't someone entirely new?" Margot turns to Imani. "Ms. Johnson, would you consider a more permanent position with our family? The role would involve significant travel, accommodations in both our New York and Hamptons residences, and compensation substantially above your current airline salary." The offer catches Imani completely off guard. "Ms. Wellington, I'm flattered, but my life is in Chicago. My son would be welcome during his breaks from MIT, and I understand the academic year hasn't begun yet. Perhaps a trial period through the summer. It would give us time to determine if the arrangement works for everyone." Imani hesitates, thoughts racing. The offer is financially tempting, likely enough to cover Marcus's entire education. She's grown genuinely fond of Lily, seeing in her echoes of Marcus's childhood seriousness and hunger for independence. Yet the prospect of entering the Wellington world permanently, with its privilege, isolation, and rigid expectations, gives her pause. "I would need time to consider such a significant change," she says finally, "and to discuss it with my son." Margot nods, unaccustomed to but seemingly accepting of the lack of immediate agreement. "Of course, we return to New York tomorrow." "Perhaps you could give me your decision then." That evening, after Lily has gone to bed, Imani sits on the balcony of her hotel room, the lights of Geneva twinkling below, and calls Marcus. She explains the unexpected job offer, laying out both the considerable advantages and potential drawbacks. "Wow, Mom, that's huge," Marcus says when she finishes. "Like life-changing huge. I know it's a lot to process." "What does your gut tell you?" Imani sighs. "Honestly, I'm torn. The money would solve so many problems, and Lily is a special child who needs someone in her corner. But the Wellingtons live in a completely different world from ours. I'm not sure I belong there." "Since when has belonging somewhere stopped you from doing what you thought was right?" Marcus challenges. "You didn't belong as a single mom raising a kid on a flight attendant's salary either, but you made it work. This is different. The wealth, the privilege, it's like another planet." "Maybe that's exactly why Lily needs someone like you in her life, someone who sees beyond all that." Imani smiles at her son's wisdom. "When did you get so smart about these things?" "I had a good teacher," he replies, echoing their earlier conversation. "Look, Mom, whatever you decide, I support you, but don't say no just because it's unfamiliar territory. You've never been afraid of new challenges before." After they hang up, Imani remains on the balcony, watching the play of moonlight on Lake Geneva. The decision before her represents more than a job change. It's a fundamental shift in life trajectory for both her and Marcus. And for Lily too, perhaps. Their final morning in Geneva brings perfect closure to the Swiss interlude. The three share breakfast on the hotel terrace, overlooking the lake they explored the previous day. Lily chatters excitedly about returning to her books and her weekend cooking class, while Margot, still relaxed from their day on the water, actually listens without simultaneously checking her phone. The Wellington private jet awaits them, its luxury now familiar to Imani. The flight back to New York passes pleasantly, with Lily napping for much of it, tired from the excitement and scheduled disruptions of the past week. Margot works but less intensely than before, occasionally engaging Imani in conversation about Lily's education and development. She mentions a Dr. Chen often, Imani notes during one such exchange. "Her therapist, I believe?" "Yes, a child psychologist specializing in visually impaired children. Lily sees her weekly." Margot hesitates. "Dr. Chen has been suggesting for some time that I've been limiting Lily's development with excessive caution." "I didn't want to hear it from her, but seeing how Lily has flourished with your approach this week has been something of a wake-up call." The admission clearly costs Margot something in terms of pride, and Imani acknowledges it with a simple nod. "Children often rise or fall to our expectations of them." "Indeed." Margot studies her sleeping daughter with a complex expression. "I've been so focused on protecting her that I may have been holding her back instead." They land at Teterboro Airport outside New York City in early evening. Another car and driver await on the tarmac, ready to whisk them into Manhattan. As their luggage is transferred, Margox turns to Imani. "Have you had time to consider my offer?" "I have," Imani says carefully. "I'm grateful for your confidence in me, but before I can give you an answer, I need to understand exactly what you're proposing. Would this be as Lily's caretaker, or would there be a broader role?" "Thinking of something more comprehensive than Mrs. Abernathy's position," Margox explains as they walk toward the waiting car. "She was primarily a traditional caregiver and assistant. What I'm envisioning for you would be more of a developmental guide for Lily, helping her build independence, advocating for her needs, perhaps even consulting on the adaptive technology programs we fund through the Wellington Foundation." The expanded role appeals to Imani more than she expected. "And the logistics. You mentioned accommodations in your residences. You would have your own suite in our home, complete privacy when off-duty, generous vacation time to visit your son, and of course, we would cover all expenses related to his education as part of your compensation package." The mention of Marcus's education catches Imani's full attention. His entire education, undergraduate and graduate studies, should he choose to pursue them. The Wellington Foundation has an educational trust specifically for this purpose. Seeing Imani's surprise, Margox adds, "It's not charity, Ms. Johnson. It's an investment in the family of someone who would be investing significantly in mine." As they settle into the car for the drive into Manhattan, Lily stirs from her nap. "Are we home?" she asks sleepily. "Almost, darling," Margox tells her. "Is Imani coming home with us?" Margox looks at Imani questioningly. In that moment, Imani makes her decision. "Yes, Lily, for tonight at least, and then we'll see about the future." Lily smiles, satisfied, and leans against Imani's arm as the car pulls away from the airport. They arrive at the Wellington penthouse as dusk settles over New York City. The apartment occupies the top 2 floors of a landmark Fifth Avenue building, its windows offering panoramic views of Central Park. Imani tries not to gawk as they enter, but the sheer scale and opulence of the space makes it difficult to maintain her composure. A small staff greets them: a butler, a housekeeper, a chef, each receiving instructions from Margox about the evening's arrangements. Lily is clearly tired from travel, so after a light dinner, Imani helps her prepare for bed in her expansive bedroom suite, a space that somehow manages to be both luxurious and surprisingly child-appropriate, with carefully organized shelves of Braille books and adaptive learning toys. "Will you be here when I wake up?" Lily asks as Imani tucks her in, echoing the question she first asked on the plane that now seems so long ago. "Yes," Imani promises. "I'll be here." After Lily falls asleep, Imani joins Margox in the penthouse's elegant living room where the older woman sits with a glass of wine, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind her. "She's asleep," Imani reports. "Thank you." Margox gestures to the wine bottle. "Would you care for some? It's a rather good Bordeaux." "Yes, thank you." Imani accepts the offered glass and sits across from her potential employer. "So," Margox says after a moment, "have you reached a decision about my offer?" Imani takes a careful sip of the wine, which is indeed exceptional, and considers her words. "I'd like to accept with a few conditions." "I'm listening." "First, I'd like a 3-month trial period for both our sakes. This is a significant change for everyone involved, and we should ensure it's working before making longer-term commitments." Margox nods. "Reasonable. What else?" "I'd like to be involved in decisions about Lily's education and development, not just implementing plans others have made. If I'm to help her build independence, I need some authority to advocate for approaches I believe will benefit her." "That would be the point of hiring you," Margox agrees. "Your perspective has already proven valuable." "And finally," Imani continues, "I'd like clarity on boundaries, both professional and personal." This role blurs those lines by its nature, living in your home, traveling with your family. I need to know my private time will be respected, and that my relationship with Lily can develop naturally without constant oversight. Margox studies her thoughtfully. "You're very different from Mrs. Abernathy. She never questioned my directions or asserted her own boundaries." "I'm not Mrs. Abernathy," Imani says simply, "and I believe that's partly why you're considering me for this position." A smile touches Margox's lips. "Indeed it is. Very well, Ms. Johnson, I accept your conditions. Shall we say the trial period begins immediately? I have meetings in Tokyo next week that cannot be postponed." "That would be fine, but I'll need 2 days to return to Chicago, pack essentials, and say goodbye to my son before his summer session begins." "Of course, I'll have the jet take you tomorrow and bring you back the following day." Margox raises her glass slightly. "To new beginnings, then." They clink glasses, sealing the unusual arrangement. As they sit in companionable silence afterward, Imani reflects on the extraordinary turn her life has taken in just 1 week, from serving drinks in first class to becoming an integral part of one of America's wealthiest families. The transition won't be simple, but few worthwhile changes ever are. The following morning brings a flurry of activity. Margox arranges for the private jet to take Imani to Chicago, while introducing her to the penthouse staff and the intricacies of Lily's typical daily schedule. Lily herself is delighted by the news that Imani will be staying, immediately bombarding her with plans for activities they can do together. Can we take cooking classes? Mrs. Abernathy always said the kitchen was too dangerous, but my weekend class teacher says I'm really good with knife skills. As Imani prepares to depart for her brief trip home, Lily hugs her tightly. Hurry back, okay? I want to show you all my books in my music room in the park where I feed the ducks. I'll be back before you know it, Imani promises, touched by the child's enthusiasm. The Wellington jet delivers her to Chicago by early afternoon. The contrast between the luxury aircraft and her modest apartment in a working-class neighborhood is jarring, a physical manifestation of the world she's now straddling. She spends the afternoon packing essential belongings and sorting what can be stored, planning to return for the rest once she's settled in New York. Marcus arrives home in the evening, bringing takeout Chinese food, their traditional celebration meal for special occasions. As they eat from cartons at their small kitchen table, Imani shares more details about the Wellingtons and her new role. So basically, you're going to be like a rich kid's nanny, but with better benefits, Marcus teases. It's more than that, Imani explains. Lily needs an advocate, someone who sees her potential beyond her visual impairment, and Margox needs someone who can help her be a better mother to a child with different needs than she expected. And you need the money for my tuition, Marcus adds quietly. That's part of it, yes, but not all. Imani reaches across the table to take her son's hand. Lily reminds me of you in some ways, smart, serious, trying to grow up too fast. I think I can help her, and that matters to me. Marcus squeezes her hand. I'm really proud of you, Mom. Taking chances, changing lives, that's who you've always been. They spend their last evening together looking through old photo albums, laughing about Marcus's childhood antics, reminiscing about his father. The bittersweet awareness that they're entering a new phase of separation hangs in the air, but it's tempered by pride in what they've accomplished together and excitement for what lies ahead. The next morning, Imani returns to New York, to the Wellingtons, to her new life. As the jet touches down at Teterboro, she feels a curious mixture of apprehension and anticipation. The world she's entering is foreign in many ways, yet the core of what awaits her, a child who needs guidance, a family finding its way through loss and change, feels strangely familiar. Lily is waiting when she arrives at the penthouse, practically vibrating with excitement. You came back. Mrs. Abernathy said you probably wouldn't because rich people are hard to work for, but I told her you were different. You spoke with Mrs. Abernathy? Imani asks, surprised. Mom and I visited her in the hospital this morning. She's feeling better but still talks kinda funny on one side. Margox appears from her home office, looking more relaxed than Imani has yet seen her, dressed in casual weekend attire rather than her usual corporate armor. Welcome back, Ms. Johnson. I trust your trip was productive. Yes, thank you. And please, if I'm going to be living here, I think Imani would be more comfortable for everyone. Imani, then, Margox nods. Lily has been planning your orientation tour of the apartment all morning. I'll leave you to it while I finish some calls. Lily takes Imani's hand, leading her through the vast penthouse with the confidence of someone who knows every inch of her domain. Despite her inability to see the space, Lily has clearly mapped it meticulously in her mind, describing each room's purpose and features with pride. This is my music room, she announces, opening double doors to reveal a space dominated by a baby grand piano. I have lessons 3 times a week. Piano is easier than some instruments because it stays in one place and you can feel where the keys are. The tour continues through a library with an extensive Braille collection, a state-of-the-art home theater, and Lily's bedroom suite with its adjoining playroom. Finally, they reach the guest wing where Imani will reside. This is your apartment, Lily explains. It has a bedroom and bathroom and sitting room. Mom had them put in new towels and stuff for you. The suite is larger than Imani's entire Chicago apartment, decorated in soothing blues and grays with windows overlooking Central Park. On the bed lies a small gift box with a card. Lily, sensing Imani's discovery, says, Mom got you a welcome present. She never does that for staff. Can I stay while you open it? Inside the box, Imani finds an elegant smartphone and a card in Margox's precise handwriting. For ease of communication and coordination, all family accounts and emergency contacts are programmed in. MW, the gesture, practical rather than sentimental, yet thoughtful in its way, seems to perfectly encapsulate Margox Wellington's approach to relationships. Efficiently generous, distantly considerate. The first few weeks establish new patterns. Imani gradually assumes responsibility for Lily's daily care, educational activities, and therapeutic appointments. She attends meetings with Lily's doctors and teachers, gaining deeper understanding of her needs and capabilities. Throughout, she maintains the approach that first connected them, treating Lily as competent and capable while providing support where genuinely needed. Margox observes this developing relationship with evident approval, though she remains somewhat removed, her corporate responsibilities consuming much of her attention. Still, Imani notices small changes. Margox makes more effort to join them for dinner, asks more specific questions about Lily's activities, occasionally even participates in weekend outings to museums or parks. 1 month into the arrangement, Margox surprises them both by canceling a business trip to attend Lily's music recital. The first time, according to Lily's excited whispers, that her mother has attended such an event since before her father died. The delight on the child's face when she realizes Margox is in the audience is worth more than any monetary compensation. The summer unfolds in this new rhythm. Marcus visits for a long weekend in July, initially awkward in the rarefied Wellington environment, but quickly winning over both mother and daughter with his earnest charm and genuine interest in Lily's adaptive technology projects. By the time he returns to MIT for his summer program, plans are already being made for his holiday visits. In August, they all travel to the Wellington estate in the Hamptons, a sprawling oceanfront compound where the pace slows fractionally, allowing more family time. Here, Imani witnesses further evolution in the Wellington dynamic. Margox actually takes 3 consecutive days off work, a previously unheard-of occurrence, according to the longtime household staff, during which she teaches Lily to swim in the ocean, something the girl has never experienced despite owning a beach house. "Dad always took me in the water," Lily explains to Imani as they build sand castles afterward. "After he died, Mom said it wasn't safe anymore." Watching Margox Wellington wade into the Atlantic holding her daughter's hand, Imani recognizes the significance of the moment, not just Lily learning to navigate the waves, but Margox learning to loosen her grip on fear. By the time September arrives, marking the end of their trial period, the arrangement has settled into something that feels sustainable, even natural. The formal review Margox scheduled to evaluate the position becomes instead a casual conversation over dinner after Lily has gone to bed. "I think we can agree the experiment has been successful," Margox begins, pouring them each a glass of wine, a ritual that has become their custom for evening discussions about Lily. "I believe so," Imani agrees. "Lily is thriving with her new independence and you seem more comfortable with the adjusted boundaries. More than comfortable, grateful." Margox swirls her wine thoughtfully. "You've changed things for the better, Imani, not just for Lily but for me as well. I've been hiding in my work since James died, using Lily's condition as an excuse to overprotect her while actually protecting myself from further loss." The admission is the most personal Margox has yet shared, and Imani acknowledges its significance with a nod. "Grief takes many forms, and the fear of additional loss is powerful." "Indeed." Margox meets her gaze directly. "I'd like to make the position permanent with the parameters we've established, plus an annual review of compensation and responsibilities as Lily's needs evolve." "I'd be happy to continue," Imani says sincerely. "Lily has become very important to me. And you to her." Margox hesitates, then adds, "And your perspective has become valuable to me as well. You see things differently than those in my usual circle." Coming from Margox Wellington, this is high praise indeed. Imani accepts it with a simple, "Thank you." As autumn settles over New York, their lives assume a comfortable rhythm. Lily returns to her private school, where Imani helps implement new independence protocols that allow the child more agency in her educational experience. Margox restructures her work schedule to be home most evenings, establishing a family dinner tradition that becomes the anchor of their days. In October, Mrs. Abernathy visits, now recovered enough to walk with a cane but clearly still affected by her stroke. The reunion is emotional for Lily, who throws her arms around the older woman with genuine affection. But when Mrs. Abernathy suggests she might soon be well enough to resume her duties, Lily's response is revealing. "I love you, Mrs. A, but Imani helps me do things for myself. I'm learning to be independent." The elderly caretaker looks momentarily hurt, then surprisingly relieved. "That's as it should be, my dear. I think perhaps I was getting too old for the job anyway." Margox ensures Mrs. Abernathy receives a generous retirement package, including lifetime health care and a cottage on the Hamptons property should she wish to use it. The gesture, which Imani suspects might not have occurred to the old Margox, demonstrates how far the billionaire has come in recognizing the human elements of her world. By November, when Marcus comes for Thanksgiving break, the household feels like a functioning family unit, albeit an unconventional one. They share the holiday meal in the penthouse dining room, a surprisingly intimate affair with just the four of them rather than the corporate entertaining Margox apparently usually hosts. Family, Margox toasts, raising her glass, in all its forms. As glasses clink around the table, Imani reflects on the strange journey that has brought them all to this moment, from a chance encounter on an airplane to this blended family finding its way forward together. Across from her, Lily beams, sensing the harmony in the room even without seeing the smiles around her. Beside her, Marcus holds up his phone, capturing the moment in a photo he later titles simply, "Our New Constellation." The following morning, as Imani helps Lily with a science project in the penthouse kitchen, Margox emerges from her office looking uncharacteristically flustered. "Imani, could I speak with you privately for a moment?" In Margox's office, the billionaire paces, something Imani has never seen her do before. "There's a situation developing with the Tokyo acquisition. I need to fly out tonight, but the meetings could last up to 2 weeks. That's not a problem. Lily and I will be fine here." "That's not my concern. The issue is that we've been invited to the White House Christmas reception next weekend. The invitation specifically includes Lily. The president's wife wants to highlight her work with visually impaired children. It's politically important for the company, and Lily has been excited about it for months." Imani begins to see the dilemma. "You need someone to take Lily to Washington." "Yes." "Normally, I wouldn't ask this. It's well beyond your regular duties. But Lily trusts you, and frankly, I trust your judgment in public situations more than most of my staff." Margox stops pacing. "Would you be willing to accompany her? As her guardian for the event, not as her caretaker. You'd be attending the reception yourself, not waiting outside." The distinction is significant, a public acknowledgement of Imani's place in their family structure rather than merely their staff. "I would be honored," she says simply. "Thank you." The relief in Margox's voice is palpable. "My assistant will handle all the arrangements. The company jet will take you both to D.C. on Friday. You'll stay at the Wellington Suite at the Four Seasons and attend the reception Saturday evening. I've already called the First Lady's office to explain the change in plans." The casual mention of direct communication with the White House reminds Imani once again of the rarefied world she now inhabits. "Does Lily know you won't be able to attend?" "Not yet. I thought we might tell her together." Lily takes the news better than expected, her disappointment at her mother's absence balanced by her excitement that Imani will accompany her instead. "We'll take pictures of everything so Mom can see it all when she gets back from Tokyo," she declares. The following days pass in a whirlwind of preparation. A designer visits the penthouse to fit both Lily and Imani for appropriate attire for the White House reception. Lily's regular etiquette coach provides a refresher on protocol for meeting the President and First Lady. Security briefings are conducted, travel arrangements finalized. Through it all, Imani maintains an outward calm while inwardly marveling at the turn her life has taken. From serving drinks on commercial flights to attending a White House reception as the guardian of a Wellington heir, the trajectory seems almost dreamlike in its improbability. Marcus, still visiting for his break, finds the situation highly amusing. "Only you, Mom," he teases as he helps her pack. "Most people just get a gold watch after decades of service. You get a complete life upgrade after one act of kindness." "It wasn't calculated," she reminds him. "That's exactly why it worked out this way," he responds wisely. "You were just being you." Friday arrives, and Imani and Lily board the Wellington jet for Washington, accompanied by Margox's personal assistant who will handle logistics but not attend the actual reception. Lily chatters excitedly throughout the flight, practicing her greeting for the First Lady, rehearsing facts about the White House's history that she's memorized for the occasion. They settle into the Wellington Suite at the Four Seasons, a palatial set of rooms regularly maintained for company executives visiting the capital. The evening is spent quietly, with room service dinner and early bedtime to ensure Lily is well rested for the big event. Saturday dawns clear and cold, a perfect December day in Washington. A stylist arrives to assist with hair and makeup, followed by the designer for final adjustments to their outfits. A sophisticated navy gown for Imani, a festive red velvet dress for Lily. By late afternoon, they're ready, a car waiting to transport them to the White House. The reception itself is a blur of impressions. the grandeur of the decorated East Room, the musical performances, the distinguished guests from politics, business, and the arts. Lily navigates it all with remarkable poise, her cane decorated with a festive ribbon, her trained ear helping her identify people by their voices and footsteps. The promised introduction to the First Lady happens midway through the evening. The president's wife is genuinely warm, spending several minutes with Lily, asking thoughtful questions about her experiences as a visually impaired student. When Lily mentions the adaptive technology program funded by the Wellington Foundation, the First Lady expresses interest in visiting their New York facilities. "And who is this accompanying you?" she asks, turning to Amani. "This is Ms. Johnson," Lily says proudly. "She helps me be independent." "What a wonderful mission," the First Lady responds, shaking Amani's hand. "How long have you been with the Wellington family?" "About 6 months," Amani answers. "It's been a rewarding journey." Later, as they enjoy desserts from the elaborate buffet, Lily confides, "I wish Mom could have been here, but I'm really glad it was you who came with me, Amani." "Me too, sweetheart. Do you think," Lily hesitates, "do you think you might stay with us for a long time, not just because of the contract or whatever, but because you want to?" The question catches Amani off guard with its directness. "I hope to, yes. I've come to care about you very much." "Good," Lily nods decisively. "Because I told Mom she should make sure you stay forever. I heard her on the phone with the lawyers talking about changing your contract to make it more. What was the word? Competitive." Imani smiles at this glimpse into the behind-the-scenes Wellington operations. "That's good to know. Mom likes you," Lily continues matter-of-factly. "She doesn't like very many people. Dad used to say she had impossibly high standards." "Your mother is a remarkable woman," Imani says diplomatically. "She's different since you came. Happier, she laughs more." Lily tilts her head thoughtfully. "We both do." The simple observation touches Imani deeply. Whatever strange twist of fate brought her into the Wellingtons' lives, it seems to have benefited all of them. They returned to New York the following day, the Wellington jet whisking them home in time for Lily's Monday morning classes. Marcus has returned to MIT. The penthouse feels momentarily empty without Margox's commanding presence, and yet there's a comfortable familiarity to it all now. This has become home. 2 days later, Imani receives a call from Margox in Tokyo. "How did the reception go? Lily sent me about 50 excited voice messages, but I'd like your assessment." Imani provides a detailed account of the evening, including the First Lady's interest in visiting their adaptive technology program. "Lily represented the family beautifully. You would have been proud." "I have no doubt." There's a pause, then Margox adds, "Thank you, Imani, not just for this, but for everything these past months. You've changed our lives in ways I hadn't anticipated when I hired you on that flight." "It works both ways," Imani acknowledges. "You've changed my life too. For the better, I hope." "Definitely for the better." Another pause, then Margox says, "When I return, I'd like to discuss some adjustments to our arrangement. Nothing drastic, but I've been thinking about the future, about Lily's needs as she grows, about the Foundation's work with visually impaired children." "I'm looking forward to that conversation," Imani says sincerely. After they hang up, she stands by the penthouse windows, looking out over the glittering expanse of Manhattan. 6 months ago, she was serving drinks in first class, counting every dollar toward Marcus's tuition. Now she's here, part of one of America's most powerful families, making a difference in ways she never imagined possible. All because she saw a blind child who needed a little help while her mother slept. All because she chose kindness when it wasn't required. All because sometimes the smallest actions create the largest ripples. As the winter sun sets over New York, casting long shadows across Central Park, Imani hears Lily practicing piano in the music room, a complex piece she's preparing for her holiday recital. The notes rise and fall, occasionally faltering, then resuming with determined precision. Just like life itself, imperfect, challenging, beautiful in its persistence. She turns from the window and moves toward the music, toward the child who has become so precious to her, toward the future they're all building together. One day, one choice, one act of kindness at a time. If you've enjoyed this story of unexpected connections and life-changing kindness, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Have you ever experienced how a small act of compassion changed everything? We'd love to hear your stories and continue sharing more inspiring content with our community.